Hi screen printers, this is Colin from Ryonet. Today we're going to talk about printing FN white ink on the new Riley 250 press. We're going to go through all the methods that I think are best practices, best habits to build and create a very nice, bright, clean white. And we're going to show the use of a smoothing screen and how it can improve your fiber mat down, which will improve your overall brightness of your print. And because of that, it can also create a thinner, more soft and supple print as well. I will be printing using Hydro mesh on the Eco frames. It'll be the 157 Hydro. And then the Eco frame that I have over here with the brown screen in it, that's a Teflon sheet. For those who don't know, a smoothing screen is a standalone screen. There's a couple of ways to make one. This one that I have here is an Eco frame with a Teflon panel from Nortec, something that I'm playing with. So you can either buy a Teflon panel and do that, or you can make your own screen. Simply coat a 200 or 230 mesh or higher, expose that without any image on it, and just put it in as a blank screen. You will want to use a little bit of a lubricant, a clear base, curable reducer, something like that. You can see that I have a little bit of base in that screen. And what that's going to do, and I'll talk through it as we go, you want to hit it like an iron right after the flash, and we'll show the process here that I'm using. Today I'm going to be printing on a Sanmar district made DT104. It's a ring spun garment. So ring spun is very commonly used in our industry now. Lots of the fashion soft shirts are using ring spun. It is a softer, more pliable fabric, but it also has fuzziness that can be difficult to overcome. So in this video, we're going to talk about everything that we can do to make the flattest, smoothest, cleanest printing white and make our customers happy. So one of the first things I like to do whenever I have new white in a screen is I get my testing platen hot. I like to get it up around 270 or so. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to warm up that platen. Now this platen has been sitting under there. I have an old test shirt on here. So I'm actually going to show you with this what I would do. I'm simply flooding the screen with ink so that the heat from the platen radiates up and warms up the ink here. And I'm going to call out the temperatures that I'm getting to. I'm already at 90 degrees. Now it's summer, so what we're finding is most workshops are in the 80 to 90 degree range. So your inks are probably already going to be this warm. Temperature right now here is 80 degrees. 80 to 81 degrees. So the ink is already warm, but production temperatures for your inks are always going to be higher because of the heat translating up from the platen. So I'm in the higher 90s. So I'm going to go ahead, pull this over. Now, yes, preheating my shirt can cause the moisture in there to evaporate and fluff up the fibers some. It's not a normal thing to do, but it also is going to show the benefits of a smoothing screen for the purpose of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and print. I'm using very light pressure to get the ink to clear the screen. And that is 2 flood prints. I'm using an Eco frame with a 157 Hydro mesh. Because it's the Hydro, the thin thread, the open area in the mesh allows the ink to flow through very clean, very easy. The threads themselves release from the ink far better than standard mesh does. And as a result, you can use less pressure to deposit the ink on top of the shirt fibers rather than use more pressure to get the ink to clear and push the ink into the shirt fibers. Because of this, we can have a thinner ink deposit that sits on top of the shirt and has greater opacity as a result. Our only headache at that point is actually matting down any fibers that want to poke through the ink. So this is what it looks like now. It looks pretty good. I can see a little bit of roughness from the fibers. So I'm going to put it under the flash, and then I'm going to come back and hit it with the smoothing screen. And what we're going to see is as that ink gets to its flash point, the gel stage, the ink is soft and pliable. So when we hit it with pressure in a flat surface, it pushes everything together. We're actually moving that ink down and around a little bit so that it covers everything. Let's see where we're at. Nice and dry. It might have actually flashed a little too long because I was talking. And you want to use enough pressure to flatten and press down, but not so much that we're just jamming things in. So this feels better. I can tell that I did flash a little bit too long during the talk. The joys of having warm working cottons, warm ink, and a good flash. So what I'll do now is I'm going to do one hit. We're going to take a close-up of it with the camera, and we'll show you how that looks. And then I'll probably do another one so I can flash it a little faster so we can see the difference, how ink behaves when it's over flashed, when it's under flashed, or just right. So I'm doing a softish flood. The idea is to pre-fill our screen a little bit so that we don't have ink coming through, but that it's there. And then all we have to do is use enough squeegee pressure to get the ink to clear. So again, lighter pressure, single pass. There we go. So if I look at this sight on, I can see that, yeah, I left it under the flash a little too long. The ink was not as malleable as I wanted it to be when I hit it with the smoothing screen. So I do have a little bit of texture. Overall, you know, it's an okay print. I can be really particular. It's an okay print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through the dryer, and I'm going to grab another shirt, and we'll get to the next step where I do a better test, better print. All right. My platen is warm, but it doesn't need to be super warm. Shirt is fresh, screen is fresh. Again, soft pressure. My first pass is mostly clearing the screen. Flood. Print again. Is this habit necessary? No, this habit is not necessary. You can find a way that makes the best sense in your shop with what you're doing. This is a habit that I'm into because of the way that I create a final product. So I'll throw this underneath the flash. Count of 6, and that is a little under. So this is where platen temperature and ink temperature comes into play in determining what your flash time is. The warmer your platens are, the faster your ink is going to flash dry. This is right on the edge. So I'm going to use this as an example, and you're going to hear the ink, and it looks like my flash, I need to reposition my flash a little bit because right down here, that didn't get dry enough, but everything else is dry. And you can also see that on the back of my screen where that small bottom section obviously transferred over. So this is what, you know, one of the pitfalls, but it's also really nice that shows you what's going on with your flash. You can kind of roadmap, you can, what's the right word to use there? You can map where the heat from your flash unit is and where you're getting and where you're not getting proper heat on your ink. So this had a little bit of grip. Technically, I would want to flash just a little bit longer, but this will still show that the fibers are flattened down really nicely. Single flood, light pressure pass. There we go. And that is much, much smoother. And because this is very thin down here, you don't see that I picked up some of the ink. So there you go. One flood print, light pressure through a thin thread, flashed, hit with a smoothing screen, single flood print, and there's your end result. Very smooth, very bright. Looks great. Now when we pull the shirt off of the platen, we always want to pull from the bottom and try not to distort. So if you have any boxes or circles, they don't end up looking like octagons or ovals. So there we go. I'm going to run this through the dryer. So I've pulled both of these shirts out from the end of the dryer. This is the first one we printed where we let it sit underneath the flash for too long and we got the fibers a little rough, and then I flashed for too long. So you can see in here that we have a lot of roughness, a little bit of a sandpaper feel. It's a minor sandpaper feel overall with how bad some of this can get, but you can still see it. It's a little rough compared to this one that we just did where down here we under flash, but up here it was fine. Maybe could have gone a little bit longer on flash, but for the purpose of this video, it shows you the contrast. You can see this is much, much smoother in comparison to this one. And this one is going to give you a softer, more supple feeling print compared to this one, which is going to feel a little rougher. And that's why we do this. So that'll do it for our video on FN white and smoothing screens. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on any of our social media channels. You can also call in on our success line, and any of our success reps will be more than happy to help you out. For further videos on FN ink and on equipment, hit the subscribe button below and you'll be notified of all new videos coming out. Thanks for watching, screen printers. See you next time.